really, really, really important. So this person is pretty much ready to go right to buy. So for this person, you can give them your conversion call to action. What I mean by that, it could be a buy button, it could be apply for a strategy session, it could be getting on a call with you or your team to potentially become a client, but you can make their journey to sale a lot shorter because they actually are in pain, they have urgency, and most importantly, they have intent. And that is the key to YouTube. It is an intent-based platform. If you think about paid advertising of any kind, it's kind of popping up when you least expect it. Whereas on YouTube, people are actually sitting there typing into the search bar to find solutions to their problems and answers to their questions. So their intent is very high in finding a solution, which is why it makes the leads on YouTube really, really warm, and also they tend to be extremely hot. So that tends to be really, really short to go from the content, the free content, to becoming a paid member of your program. And that allows us to really understand, okay, obviously the content has to be good, right? So I think a big key to this is understanding that the content itself, when I say it needs to be good, it's not that it has to have high production value by any means. My videos for a very long time, it was me sitting in front of a webcam and a window, and that worked very well in implementing this entire strategy. So it's more so about the value of what you're saying in your videos needs to be super high, and again, super relevant to the person who's in that place where they're seeking out a solution. So this brings me to what we call cracking the code on YouTube. So being on this platform for so long now and working with thousands of people to develop this strategy, it comes down to content optimization, development, and expansion. And each of these phases has to go in this order. So the content is first and foremost, and really this comes down to what's the niche you're in. And again, it's that who you are trying to reach and what you want to be known for. That's the key to creating content that is actually going to appeal to people who are going to become potential buyers. And when you do this right, the really cool thing is that it means less content and more potential opportunity and more potential clients and customers. So I really only make 3 videos a month, and that's kind of been the case for a long time now, because I know the intent behind each piece of content is so clear, and I know exactly who I'm making it for, that I generally get a really high ROI, return on investment, from the time I spend creating content. Whereas a lot of people who are kind of in that hamster wheel I talked about earlier, they're just constantly creating content and spiraling without actually getting anything from it. So first comes content. What's the niche you're trying to attract? What do you want to be known for? That's really at the basis of it. And I'm going to talk more about specifically how to pick topics.
Halo kawan-kawan semua yang baru datang di channel aku, terima kasih sudah bergabung. Kita belajar bahasa Inggris ini di tengah malam sambil live. Kawan-kawan minta bantuan di subscribe kawan. Semoga yang baru hadir mau bantu subscribe. Amin, amin. Yang subscribe semoga diberikan rezeki yang melimpah, sehat walafiat. Amin. Salam kenal abang-abangku. Kok Sule? Mirip Sule ya? Waduh. Aku Cuhel dari Lombok kakak. Identifying a unique niche and angle for yourself, which is based on your own unique experience and expertise, that's what's going to position you to stand out and become a big fish in a very small pond. Assalamualaikum bang. Waalaikumsalam. Kak Gusti, makasih sudah mampir Kak Gusti. Aku live tengah malam ini sambil nunggu makan sahur ini bang. Salam kenal dari Lombok. Title that's hyper relevant to what they're searching out and seeking, because there's a lot of options out there, so yours needs to stand out as the most relevant option for them to click on. And I'll talk in more detail about the specific metrics associated with these things a little bit later in the video, so that you have an idea of what you're aiming for. And then when it comes to development, that really means the development of the content. So before we even make the piece of content, we got to focus on these two pieces right here. When it comes to development, it means you need to create the content, create the script in
Salam
a
kenal
way
dari
that's
Lombok,
different than what you see from
abang-abangku,
entertainment channels.
kakak-kakakku yang
And the
cantik, yang
biggest piece of
ganteng.
this is you
Terima
need to focus
kasih udah
on
mampir.
retention. And again, I'll give you specific metrics for this a little bit later in the video. But how you get high retention in developing your script
Kita
or
live
your
sambil
content
nunggu
in
makan
of
sahur
in and of
ini
itself is
abang-abangku.
you look at the intro
Bantu
first.
subscribe
So
abang.
a lot of times on YouTube, people will just
Kakak-kakakku.
talk and then get to the point of what they're talking about. People click off because why? It's an intent-based platform. So if a stranger on the internet is seeking out, let's say, how to train their dog, and they click on a video that comes up in the search result, and the person in the video is going on and on about who they are and their day and their morning and random
Saya
things.
Suhel dari
Most of them
Lombok,
have time, and they don't
abangku.
care because they don't have any loyalty to
Kita
you. So they're
belajar
gonna click off,
nge-YouTube
go to the
ini.
next person who answers it quickly. So you have to think of it from that perspective. We are trying to reach strangers on the internet. We're not trying to have this like base that already knows us, because that's not going to allow you to really expand your reach and your expertise on a much bigger scale and level. So the intro of your video needs to be as efficient and tight as possible. And really what that looks like is you need to hook people,
Salam
provide them
kenal
with
semua
clarity
dari
around the
Lombok,
outcome you're going to
abangku.
give them from that video, provide them with credibility of why you
Malam
know what you're
kakak
talking about,
cantik,
and then
terima
dig
kasih
right
udah
in.
mampir
Dig right into the
lagi.
content so that they don't click off, they watch the whole video, you get high retention, and it
Sehat
sends
selalu
signals to the
kakak
algorithm to say
Mega.
push this piece of content out to more people like this.
Kakak
And then that
Mega
brings
belum
in
di
more ideal
subscribe
viewers
ini
and
sama
potential customers and
suaminya.
clients.
Bantu
And then
subscribe
the
dong
final
Kak
piece is
Mega, sama
expansion. So this
suaminya,
piece
sama
is missed
anak-anaknya.
so often. But what this means is you need to
Biar
take
kita
this
semangat
very
live-nya.
important piece of content, this content that you've gone through a lot, you've gone through all these phases, and then you need to expand it on other platforms. So that means sending it out to the email list.
Kakak Mega bantu subscribe sama suaminya, sama anaknya juga.
Give a crap about this video, so send it to them so they actually
Sama
watch it
pelanggan
and give a
warung
positive
kalau
signal.
bisa.
And you want to send it out to any social platforms that you have: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. Post it on other platforms so that you can expand your reach outside of just the algorithm on YouTube to give you even more attention on that video from ideal viewers who care about it, which is going to again allow the internal traffic sources on YouTube to reach more of those like-minded people without you having to
Kenapa
put in
Kak
as much
Mega?
effort. So we have to
Aduh.
make sure that we check off that part of the process as well. Now there's a lot more to each
Iya
of these
dah.
steps, but at the base level, this
Nanti
is what
di
you need to
WA aja
know
dah kalau
to really
gitu.
develop content in the right way and to get the most out of the videos you're creating because you're putting effort into them. So let's talk about how to create content that actually converts. How do you pick the right topics? What are the video topics that we want to focus on? But before
Takut ya Kak Mega?
remind you that if you do want the guide with the 10
Takut
steps
atau
on
gimana
monetizing
ya?
knowledge online,
Atau lagi di sampingnya ya?
we'll send you the direct link to download it for free. So how do you create content that actually converts? First and foremost, we talked about this earlier, it's relevancy of topics, but what does that actually break down to? Well, what are the problems
Bantu subscribe
facing
kakak.
that most ideal viewer? If you think about the content scaling funnel that I talked about earlier, let's talk about this person who's down here. So what is the most relevant content for that person? This is the content that's going to convert the best. It's going to bring in the smallest amount of viewers and subscribers, but those viewers and subscribers are going to be extremely relevant and extremely hot. So they're going to be more likely to become buyers and clients of your actual paid program. So what are the problems they're facing? What are their pain points? And again, there are ways to figure this out without having to rack your brain on this. But as I'm saying this, I want you to think through what are some of the things that they're facing. And then a really easy thing is what are some of the FAQs that they commonly have or come to you for advice on. And also, if you look at relevant channels that may have a similar audience to who you're trying
Salam
to
kenal
appeal to,
semua yang
what's the
baru
content that's
gabung,
getting the highest
makasih
level of
udah
engagement? Not
mampir.
necessarily views, but really qualitative engagement, meaning people commenting in depth in the comment section. Those are all very good clues. So when it comes to the problems, pain points, these FAQs, etc., first of all, you need to look at your own experience and you need to look at the journey that you're going to take your ideal client on in your online program. So that transformative journey from zero to hero, and focus on this state. That's where we want to make the content for. So we want to make the content for the person who's in the zero state because they're the ones who are seeking out the help. So we need to think about all of their 4 aspects here at this zero state. You can think about this on your own experience, but you also can do it through market research, looking at things like relevant channels, relevant blogs, relevant social media platforms, industry publications, things like that. And then simply put, you can use something like AI and say, hey, this is who I'm trying to reach with my content on YouTube. What are the pain points of this person? And it's going to bring you up a whole list of pain points and problems that are associated with that are going to be prime topics for your ideal viewer. Now, relevancy comes first. That is first and foremost. So all of these things are going to create hyper relevant content for that ideal viewer. But because it's YouTube and it's a search platform, there is some SEO involved here that we have to think about when we also pick the topics for our channel. So this comes first. Do this process first, and then we can think about the actual optimization with the SEO. And when it comes to SEO optimization, the big things that you need to think about, especially if you're starting at the beginning, is we don't want to jump in the deep end. The biggest mistake you can make is, like I said earlier, you jump into the industry. You're in the deep end with all these people with millions of subscribers and viewers, and you're just going to get lost and drop to the bottom of the sea. So we have to start small in really the fish pond and be a big fish in that small pond. So
Lah, ada Bapak Pocong tengah malam
0
ini.
to 1,000.
Waalaikumsalam, Abang Pocong. Terima kasih sudah mampir. Terima kasih. Semangatnya sudah dikasih semangat. Biar tambah semangat, di-subscribe dong Bapak Pocong. Bantu subscribe kakak. Dari mana kakak Pocong ini? Aku dari Lombok ini.
Of search results coming up. You're going to find a topic where there's, not a huge number of people that you're competing with, and not a huge number of huge
Live
channels
tengah
that you're
malam ini
competing
cari
with.
subscriber kakak Pocong.
Based on the transformation.
Dari mana kakak
And then
Pocong?
the final thing is what we call views and velocity. So views and velocity means that if you look up a piece of content on YouTube and the
Oh iya,
channel
terima
has,
kasih
let's
dari
say,
Surabaya. Terima
2
kasih sudah
subscribers, but
subscribe
this
dan like.
particular video that's
Semoga
coming up in
berkah
search results has 1 million
abangku.
views,
Terima
that
kasih
is a
sudah
topic that you know
mampir.
is very interesting for people. So you
Belum
want to
Kak
use that as a
Mega.
view
Kenapa?
for
Kak
a
Mega
great
ngantuk
topic that
ya?
would be, search engine optimized because it's based around keywords and relevancy to your ideal
Jangan
client.
bilang
And
Kak
one
Mega
thing that I'll add
ngantuk.
on to this
Nanti
is
siapa
not
yang
every piece of content is made the same way.
melayani
There are really kind of 3
tamu-tamunya?
buckets of content that I like to say on YouTube and that I generally see on everyone's channels. And they
Sehari
serve
berapa
different
kali,
purposes.
berapa
So you
jam tidur
have
Kak Mega?
evergreen, you have
Tuh
depth,
Kak Mega.
and you have
Salam
viral.
kenal sama
So
Bapak
you might be
Pocong tuh
thinking,
Kak
wow, I'm
Mega.
viral. No, you don't. Because, and I actually work with people who are like, I went viral once and I never want to do it again. Because what does this do? It tends to reach an audience of very cold, beginner eyeballs. And that's going to lead to chaos and really bad leads. Plus, if you go viral on a topic that isn't relevant to your ideal viewer, it messes up your whole algorithm on your channel. And then all of a sudden you built authority on a topic that you don't really want to be the authority on. And therefore it's an uphill battle to find relevant
Kak
viewers.
Mega berapa
And
jam
the
tidur?
algorithm has a harder time helping you find viewers through those traffic sources.
Iya, ini masih
So,
ada kopi
really
nih Bang.
these are kind of the
Masih
key
ada
points.
kopi
Evergreen content means that it's timeless.
satu
It's
gelas,
tutorials,
satu mangkok.
it's tips, it's FAQs, it's all of these things that I talked about here. It's just timeless things that are
Yo,
always
dari
going
mana
to be
nih?
relevant and
Dari
searchable to
mana?
your ideal viewer. And the depth content is really building a relationship. So it's
Tumben
more like
Bapak
a
keluar
fireside
pulang
chat,
jam
having
segini
a
nih.
coffee with your viewer, talking about your unique experience in your background,
Apa
your
Pri,
credibility,
baru
telling a
jam
story
3
that would be
jam
hyper-relevant to
seken
them.
kali.
It really is an opportunity for you to connect
Jam
with
2
your
kurang
viewer.
10.
Outside of just teaching and trying to reach new people, depth content allows you to really connect. But is depth content going to bring in a ton of eyeballs? No, not necessarily. Evergreen
Alhamdulillah
content
baik Kakak Mega. Kalau Kakak Mega gimana kabar di
meaning
sana?
that new people are finding that piece of content every single day. And that's how our channel continues to bring in thousands of leads continuously on repeat, on autopilot when I'm not working, because we have so many videos out there working for us.
Oh
when we're
ya
not working.
ngantok.
So that gives you a really good understanding of, the topics you want to cover,
Dah arek lekan
how
ah
to
main
really think
ti.
about it, so
Ya,
relevancy
hebat.
first,
Sampai
and
dengan
then
besalun
looking at the
bolak-balik
SEO
bang
aspect
besok
of
lanjut.
it, and the kind of buckets of content as well, and
Kita
how
udah
they
kenal,
are
Bang,
gonna
udah
perform and setting your
lama.
expectations around them. So when it comes to metrics for actual monetization in this strategy, there's really only a few that you really need to focus on. So number one, retention. I've already talked about this quite a bit, but if people aren't watching your whole video or the majority of your video, it's useless. So we want to aim for a 40% retention rate, meaning people are watching 40% or more of
Paling
your
tedam
video,
sama
because
iya.
that's
Darah
telling you
liwat.
this is a great piece of content, and
Darah
again, we need to push it
liwat.
to more people that you're trying to serve, those ideal viewers.
Waduh
Number
tedam.
two,
Lemak nu gak
CTR.
nampak juga.
So
Ya
obviously,
tedam
if we
dong
want good
gawan.
retention, we need
Hindi,
people to
satu
actually click on
tuan
the video and
kan
actually watch it. So the CTR, generally, the rule is kind of like 2 to 10%.
Betul.
Anything above that is phenomenal. So the higher on that scale, the better.
Angkanya
That's
masuk
kind of the
rajin
rough
semua
average
masuk.
for most videos. But this is really important because if you have a high CTR on, let's say, like a viral, irrelevant video, that's not necessarily a good thing. What that's doing is bringing in a whole audience of people that aren't going to care about any other piece of content you have. And again, it's going to mess with the algorithm. So you want your CTR to be high amongst your ideal viewers and the people you're actually trying to reach.
Oh,
And again, depending on the type of video, if you're doing more of a depth video, the CTR is probably going to be on the lower end, but that's not a bad thing because it's building nurturing relationships with the people who actually care the most and want to build that trust with you. So CTR is yes important, but it also has qualifiers to it in terms of performance depending on the kind of video and the topic of the video. And then I would say probably, next on those is the qualitative feedback. And this is a bit harder to actually measure because it's qualitative, it's not quantitative. But what this means is essentially you're looking at the comments that you're getting on the video. If people are sharing the video and talking about the video, that's a really, really great sign. And when I look at the comments and I'm looking at qualitative feedback, I'm looking for people to leave more than just a one-word comment. I want depth, I want questions, I want thoughtfulness in those comments. And that's telling me I'm hitting the mark, especially depending on what they're saying. So really pay attention to the feedback you're getting on your videos because it's going to tell you a lot about how much you're actually reaching the right human beings and the right people with your content who are going to become those potential clients or customers.
Bagus lancar bahasa Inggris.
So when you do this all correctly, probably the most important metric that you can have is you can do this based on dollar per subscriber or dollar per view. Let's do dollar per subscriber. So let's say the example I gave at the beginning of the video. I think she had less than 1,000 subscribers, but she was making $10,000 a month from less than 1,000 subscribers. That
Udah bang, pujiin dulu abangku, semoga lancar dan sehat terus abangku dan selalu diberikan kelancaran dan diberikan berlimpah. Makasih bang, terima kasih, amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Ini colok.
And you're making $3,000 off that video. That means each view is worth 3 cents. And that is what AdSense tends to pay you. And that's actually on the high end. It's usually between 1 to 3 cents per view, which is why it's such an uphill battle to generate a ton of views through something like AdSense, but why you're in a ton of control when you make hyper-relevant content for the right people and you actually have something to offer them, like an online program. And to kind of bring this all home, something I really want to talk about is the length of your videos. Now, there's no magic number because I know a big question is, well, how long should the YouTube video be? And what do you think about shorts? So there's $100,000 in 30 days with just 96 subscribers. That sounds impossible, right? But it's not. I know it sounds crazy, but one of our clients made $100K in 30 days with only 96
Itu
subscribers.
tandanya
Nara ini nara kepeng. Lagu Revenate.
Nani kayak ngerasa surya waktu bulan.
Revenate.
Nani terasa rokok surya kabeh live dulu lagi-lagi setengah jam.
Revenate.
The next 30 days, I brought in cash $102,900 in cash. That was with 96 subscribers.
And Denver has gone on to do this consistently month over month on his
May
channel.
apple.
And we put together a case study sharing all the details of how he achieved this. If you comment case study below this video, we'll send you the link so you can access it for free. Now, having been on YouTube for almost a decade now and having taught thousands of people in every niche imaginable how to monetize their audience, the number one thing I can tell you is that the size of your audience does not matter. The quality of your audience is everything. So I wanted to share with you the steps that I would take if I had a small audience and my goal was to generate $100,000 in the next 6 months. It might seem like an overnight success, but trust me, this is a a time-tested method that takes focus and real effort. I'm going to break it all down for you step by step in this video, and it all starts with monetizing something you already have, which we'll get into in a second. To make 100K in the next 6 months, that's $16,700 per month. Sounds like a lot, but let's break it down even
Kuliah dan
more.
lebih
So
kan.
10 payments of $1,670 per month, 6
Ada
payments of
statusnya?
$2,783 per month, 3 payments of $5,566 a month,
Pendek saya
and 2
kan
payments of
ada
$8,350 a month. You get the idea. The
slow.
question is, where do these payments come from? And how do you monetize your YouTube channel in a way that actually makes this possible? Well, we're not going to make any videos before we take some very critical steps to making this all work together cohesively. So the first step is to identify your ideal viewer. This isn't just somebody who's going to watch your videos, but they're actually willing to invest in learning from you. So here's how you do it. First of all, we need to reverse engineer. So remember I said you're going to monetize something you already have, which is
Yo,
your
kawan-kawan yang baru
knowledge.
gabung,
Why?
bantu
Well, we
subscribe
know
dong
that
kakakku.
is the second largest search engine in the world, owned by the largest search engine in the world. Therefore, people are coming onto the platform. 3 billion searches are happening on this platform every single day. And what does that tell you? Well, people are searching for all different kinds of topics with the intent to actually learn, solve a problem, answer a question. So when you use this platform in this way, it is the first step to really being able to monetize your knowledge and reach a viewer who, like I said, not only wants to consume your content, but actually wants to invest in learning from you. So we have to reverse engineer, why would this person be looking on YouTube in the first place? And this comes down to what you already have, your knowledge. Okay, so it starts with identifying 2 questions and answering them for yourself. What can you teach? And number 2, who would benefit the most
Dia
from
darah
what you
padahal di
teach?
atas tahu.
And that is this ideal
Darah
viewer.
jari.
And no topic is off limits. I've worked with people who have built wildly successful businesses around everything from dancing to DJing to guitar lessons to everything in between. So whatever you know you have an ability to teach, that's where we're going to start. So that seamlessly brings us into the second step. So now that we know who we want to reach with the content, what do they need? Not just want, what do they need to know? So in the example I shared above, Denver's ideal viewer was men who were in marriages or long-term relationships who wanted to save their families and their relationships. So then we want to take it a step further. So we kind of know where they're at, what they need to know. And then we want to identify what that viewer would be searching for. And there's an easy way to do this. So go to YouTube, type in just one problem that your ideal viewer might be facing, and look at all the topics that come up as suggested searches and all the topics that come up in the search results. And then you're going to build a preliminary list of 4 topics. So in this example, things like how to stop a divorce, how to fix a broken marriage, how to communicate better with my wife, how to save a marriage from divorce, rebuild trust in a marriage. So how do you identify these topics outside of just leveraging that easy tactic to go onto YouTube and search for problems that your ideal viewer might be facing? Well, we're going to think about these buckets. We have
dapat banyak
FAQs, so frequently asked questions that would be coming from that ideal viewer when they're in the most pain and when they need your help and need to learn what you have to offer. We're going to think about challenges. What are some of the challenges that they could be facing? And then the final piece would be just simply thinking through all of the problems they would be faced with that they need to find a solution to in order to achieve the outcome that they're looking
Sebelah.
for out of learning from you. And what this does
Enggak,
is it
beda.
creates
Tetangga
a
sebelah lagu yang
searchable
logo
list of
kuning.
topics. And that is vital to actually monetizing your knowledge on YouTube because, like I said, at the end of the day, yes, it's an entertainment platform, but it is a search platform.
Baru mulai dia.
And when you use it in that way, you use that functionality,
Apa kadung buka?
positioning yourself to build authority, to build trust, to
Mati
build
dia.
influence, and to build a
dengan
potential
sangat
list of
lep-lep lagu
buyers
ya
from
si
your
tutupan
viewers.
anu.
So really what that's
Agak
doing is
semendak
building a
be
solid
mandi.
content plan
Hindi
to ensure
lamun
every
ini si
topic
tutupan
attracts
anu
the
dia.
ideal viewer,
Setuju
which
nih
is
si
why the
tutup.
quality of your audience is so much more important than the size of your audience.
Harus
So
Nah,
once you
ini
know
kita
this,
lihat
you
sekarang
can
saya
use
yang
YouTube
menonton.
as a business vehicle to
Iya,
attract
iya.
potential
Betul,
high
ya.
customers. And you don't
Ini
need a
kadunya
massive
ano
audience, like I said.
Ano?
You just need to find the
Malah
right people
boyan
or
na.
better.
Ah, aku
they
di
need to find
suara
you
nih.
because you're
Hindi ako suara
leveraging
yung
the right topics that they
pang
need
light
to
ya.
see. So like I said, if you want to see that detailed
Okay,
96
thank you
subscribers
guys.
to
Kita
over
nonton dulu
$100,000 in 30
na.
days, just comment below this video with case
Nanti
study,
dulu
and
like
next
ko.
I'm going to talk about how you actually